If I was one of these companies, I'd probably buy us. Get in early.
Or late.
Or late. Coming up, we're talking about a few acquisitions that we found interesting and talking about content-led businesses.
The Modern Acre is presented by Yield Energy. Yield turns irrigation pumps and other on-farm energy assets into virtual power plants. We are hosting a webinar for growers that already have irrigation automation, that want to learn how to benefit from these incentive programs so that they can make money. The benefit of these programs for growers is they can earn a net new revenue stream. So in a tough farm economy, Yield offers growers a way to make more money, be more profitable. And if you already have existing automation with one of our partner companies like WiseCon, you can flip a switch and turn on this new revenue generating program for your farm business. If you want to learn more about how all this works, how does Yield work with these partners? We are hosting a webinar on March 19th at 10 a.m. together with WiseCon to walk through exactly how you as a farmer, as a grower, can participate in these programs. So the link is in the show notes to sign up for that webinar again on March 19th.
Ty, look at you just going around paying growers. It's pretty cool.
That's what Yield offers. It's people ask, is it too good to be true? And no, it is not too good to be true. You can start making more money, earning new income with partnering with Yield. So yeah, excited to get this out and share it with more growers, Tim.
All right, Ty, we got a fun episode in store. We're talking about a few acquisitions that we found interesting over the past couple weeks. I think most notably, one of the most interesting ones was the Starter Story. Pat Wells' company was acquired by HubSpot Media, which is HubSpot's media arm. So let's dig into this one, Ty.
Yeah, and Tim, I think we've saw a lot of activity here in just the creator economy over the past few weeks, and I think it begged the question of the Modern Acre and what are we doing here? And we've been at this podcast game, this content game for coming up on 8 years. And Tim, should we just sell the company? Should we, we've had a good run and it's time to not be 100% owners in this thing, but to sell it to someone. So this is our question that we're going to kind of layer in here, Tim, of should we sell the Modern Acre? What's your initial reaction to that question?
Yeah, it's an interesting question, Ty. We've been at this for 8 years. We've seen kind of precedent more recently of big companies acquiring media assets to help amplify their sales and marketing, like in kind of just traditional business. HubSpot's been quite active with this, with their network. A lot of big companies are acquiring small brands that have a niche topic that can kind of funnel users, customers to their database. Like in agriculture, it's probably like a smaller TAM than just business in general and some of these other podcasts, but there are big, conglomerates of ag media companies like a Farm Journal, a Meister Media. There's these big groups that have a lot of different brands within them. Some of them have podcasts. I think Farm Journal owns Machinery Pete, which is a big marketplace for machinery. So interesting to see kind of the parallels from kind of a traditional business side to how that translates to agriculture. I mean, if I was one of these companies, I'd probably buy us. Get in early.
Or late. I think there's a few components of this, because HubSpot buying Starter Story is not even HubSpot's not a publication, right? HubSpot is a CRM company. So they sell a software solution, a CRM, to businesses, small businesses, big businesses, enterprises. And HubSpot has made this investment in media. They work with My First Million, a popular business podcast, where they, I think, are an indefinite, ongoing, core sponsor distributor of the show. And then they just bought Starter Story. And I think, Tim, this was interesting to us because just of the parallels with Starter Story. So Starter Story media platform and really focuses on telling stories of entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, small business founders. It was founded in 2017 by Pat Walls as a side project, which is pretty funny because we founded the Modern Acre in 2018 as a side project. So maybe we're just 1 year behind Pat. But he started as written interviews with founders about how they built their business. And then he really expanded into this omni-channel brand. So there's a website with founder case studies. He has a YouTube channel with 800,000 subscribers. He has a newsletter with 250,000 plus subscribers. And he also has a paid community. So he really did the thing, made this massive brand, had all these different channels. And it became, I think, really popular because it was about entrepreneurs sharing like the real details, the numbers, the operational details of their businesses. How much money were they making a month, and what was it scaling to? And then in last month, HubSpot bought them. So HubSpot, the software company, buys essentially a YouTube newsletter, podcast, website channel for probably tens of millions of dollars. And I just think this is a really interesting strategy because, again, HubSpot, I think, is being very strategic here about this is a way that they can scale their marketing efforts through content. And similar to what they're doing with My First Million, we hear about HubSpot every week when we listen to the My First Million podcast, but this is a distribution channel for them to reach. They're trying to sell more CRM solutions, right? And they're spending tens of millions of dollars and think that they're going to get an ROI on that. At the end of the day, also that content is revenue generating. So that's what's, I think people often miss this in content is you can have this thing called negative CAC. So as a content creator, if you develop a profitable business via ad revenue or sponsorship revenue, and then you go to sell products, it's referred to as negative CAC, customer acquisition cost. So your organic reach is profitable already, and then you can reach those customers without having to pay, but you're actually making money off of that. And so I think it's a really interesting play because they're buying this seemingly profitable content asset that's ultimately going to also hopefully grow organically, but also sell more of their core business, the CRM business. So I think this is just honestly a move that we're going to see more of, Tim. I think HubSpot is pretty innovative in this area, but I think we're going to see more of this. But I think this is not Farm Journal buying the Modern Acre, Tim. This is like John Deere buying the Modern Acre or Cargill buying the Modern Acre, right? Is like, hey, we think that we're going to acquire this content engine to help obviously grow that independently as a revenue source, but also to funnel business to the core business.
Yeah, I think it's a really good match of audience alignment where a lot of the people that watch the starter story, listen to the starter story are kind of early stage entrepreneurs. And those are the exact people that HubSpot is trying to attract as they're making decisions on kind of what tech stack they want to do, what CRM they want to use of like, oh, HubSpot is in my mind now, I'll use that product. So it's an easy way to get customers, and I think fits their strategy versus kind of like renting ad space that seems like a little bit forced where they could just own that asset outright and have it be fully integrated.
Super good point. And this actually brings me to another group of creators is the Acquired podcast. So they did a podcast. They just celebrated 10 years. We're coming up on 10 years, I think, in a few years, Tim, of doing the podcast, the Acquired podcast. And if you don't know Acquired, they do long form episodes about enduring businesses. So they've done episodes on LVMH and Microsoft and Google and Trader Joe's I just listened to. But their sponsorship strategy, I think, is really cool. It's something that we've actually tried to do at the Modern Acre is they really have tried to, instead of just setting up ads that is like not really consistent with their audience, they are building deep relationships with sponsors that are very much aligned to their core audience, which is, young professionals, tech professionals, entrepreneurs that are really great audience for their sponsors. So they build long-term relationships. They probably charge a lot more than like a typical like CPM ad read, but they develop these really strong relationships and limit the amount of sponsors that they have on their show. I don't think Acquired, those guys are going to sell the business, but they're taking a kind of a very strategic approach to sponsorship, ad revenue, building relationships with their partners, and they're actually investing in a lot of their partners. So kind of have a VC arm of the podcast that's investing. And that's really interesting because they can help juice these companies, right? By sponsoring them, distribution on their podcast, and then they're investing in those sponsors. It's just this very interesting flywheel model that they have. Again, I think it'd be interesting if they ever choose to sell the business, but I don't know. I get the sense that they're just kind of in this for the long term, and they're doing fine with their sponsorship model.
Yeah, it's all super interesting. I saw that Pat Walls actually a couple months ago posted on X, like shot his shot that like HubSpot should acquire him. He said the SEO ship is sinking and HubSpot needs to pivot harder to video and YouTube. So found that interesting that he like basically called it out months before the deal happened. I mean, the deal's probably been in the works for a year, but kind of interesting.
Yeah, I think he did call his shot. So Tim, call your shot. Who should buy? I just don't know if I would sell the Modern Acre. I mean, granted, like I think fundamentally we're not worth what Starter Story is worth. If I got that offer, I'll sell my soul. But I think that fundamentally, I think we have just more room to grow. And, we make money from our sponsors. We have a similar approach to Acquired of kind of having one quarterly sponsor that we're more heavily partnered with versus, just general ad reads. But the benefit for us for the podcast is the network that we've built and the influence and the voice that we've been able to create in the ag industry, right? It helps our projects with AgList. It helps what we do with Yield Energy. It helps the farm, right? Like this was our thesis from the beginning. And so I just don't know if I would sell that because I think it's really like our strategy has been the podcast kind of feeds all these other things that we do that hopefully are, bigger upside financially, but it's not necessarily like the podcast itself that's going to be the barn burner because I think it's like, the top 1% of the 1% of the 1% of podcasts, like there's like 20 of them that actually like make a ton of money. And the rest are just, I think it's not that they're not valuable. They are valuable, but it's more because of, I think more of the strategy that we're taking of like, they help amplify these other things we're doing in agriculture.
So short answer is we're not for sale, but we'll look at offers. Like dear, if you want to come get us, like let's chat.
I'm sure we're violating some regulatory thing, but I mean, Pat shot his shot. So
yeah, Ty, it just seems like a pretty interesting time in this space. There's actually like investors formulating around kind of creator-led businesses and creator-led media companies. There's the Chernin Group, which is pretty popular. That I think they own Meat Eater and Epic Gardening, like the guy that has the gardening company in San Diego, that are basically investing in businesses that are led by creators that have products and services or media that they're doing. So there was another company called Slow Ventures doing the same thing where they formed a fund to basically essentially do a seed round in creators to help grow and scale their businesses. They've done a few deals so far, and then saw most recently there was a guy that used to be at Slow Ventures, Billy Parks, that just went over to Fox to do a similar type deal for Fox, investing in creators. So it just seems like a pretty interesting space right now for kind of micro influencers, small creator-led businesses to kind of get funding to develop their audience and layer on products and services on top of that.
I think this is, we've talked about this before, and this is a belief that we have, but this is where the world is going. I think, especially with AI, Tim, it's less about having a technical co-founder, and then it's now about having a creator co-founder, right? Like how do you differentiate your product in a world where coding isn't as a level playing field, right? Being a technical co-founder to build a website, build an app is less important now, but having distribution and a unique voice is more important, right? If everyone, and I think this is our thesis with AgList, right? The idea of AgList wasn't that insane, right? It was do Yelp, G2 for agriculture, but we had the platform and the audience to execute it, right? And to have a unique voice and distribution, whereas someone in their basement building it couldn't do what we did launching that. And so I think this is more where the world is going, and turning creators into entrepreneurial founders building businesses, I think is a really exciting space, and one of the reasons why we're doing everything we're doing. And I think it'll be really interesting to follow. I love what we had Nick Horeb on the podcast recently, what he's doing of really trying to build up his, as a creator, like doing a newsletter, creating content and then building this, AI community in ag, I think is really interesting, and it'll be interesting to follow. I mean, this is what Shane Thomas is doing with his newsletter. I think it's really interesting to follow what people are doing in the ag space. But yeah, I don't think we're for sale at this point. And Tim, I think we need to keep just growing. I think we're working a lot of stuff with our day jobs at the farm with Yield, spending most of my time there. But getting the Modern Acre out to more people is that's the flywheel that kind of makes everything more successful. And so getting into video, which we just for some reason have been unable to crack that, but soon, and I think will help. Tim, we've said this before. We've said this in our personal conversations. If we grow the Modern Acre, like everything else works itself out, right? Like that is the core engine to what we're doing and what we're building. Is we grow the Modern Acre, it's going to have ripple effects to everything we're doing: the farm, Yield, AgList, et cetera.
Totally. All these things are kind of like intertwined, of like the rise of AI, content being important, investment in this space as well. Like there was one last one tied to hit on, but Cal AI was this startup that was started by two high schoolers that basically is, you take a picture of your food and it tells you how many calories are in that food. And they just went like crazy growth. Like the business has only been around for 2 years and like could only be possible with these AI tools. It's essentially like a ChatGPT plugin to get this information out. And they were just acquired by MyFitnessPal for, it sounds like the numbers were disclosed, but seems like a very large exit for people in high school building an app. And like the reason it was valuable to MyFitnessPal like wasn't super technical, but they had the audience. Like they had gone aggressively to TikTok and marketing this, where they already had users and customers that would easily integrate with MyFitnessPal and everything that they're doing. So pretty interesting, like in a matter of a couple of years to have a big outcome just with technology that is available now.
Well, that's what's really interesting, Tim, is like we heard about Cal AI. I think we talked about it on the podcast at some point several months ago. And I think the concern in business right now is that what is the defensibility of some of these vibe coded tools, right? Like Cal AI was not this complicated idea of take a picture of your plate and it will tell you the calories and the macros of your plate. And I think a lot of people thought, like, when this kid came on, My First Million, and kind of started talking more publicly about it, like, good luck, like enjoy the money while it's there, because it can go away overnight. Because is this a durable business when someone could just vibe code and recreate the same thing? However, that's not how it turned out. And that would have been my guess. My guess would be like, this guy, especially, he was being more public about it. He wasn't being stealthy. So it's like, I feel like everyone listened to him. Like there was probably like thousands of Cal AIs vibe coded after he went more public about what they were doing and the money they were making, but none of them, it's like to the victor goes the spoils, right? It's like if you have the lead, if you're the dominant platform, and this is what we've seen in technology time and time again, is there's typically one winner that gets the majority of the profits of a particular segment. And it's just pretty interesting to see that actually played out, where it's something that's not that complicated of a business idea, a tool, but it was durable enough and it had the distribution, like you said, that MyFitnessPal paid a massive number for that. And it's like MyFitnessPal, they could do it themselves. Like they could build this tool, but Cal AI had the users, right? They had the users, they had the eyeballs, they had the distribution. And that's just pretty interesting. So I think a lot of people discount the distribution. Like everyone's saying right now, oh, you just vibe code something and it'll just go off like firewall. No, you have to figure out how to get it in the eyes of customers, right? Like you can't just build something and just pray people are you have to, and what Cal AI was really good about is leveraging social media, like you mentioned, to have things go viral and get the eyeballs. And so it's like, unless you have that, you don't really have anything. And anyone can anyone can vibe code, but unless you have unique distribution or content strategy, it's not going to be a success overnight, just magically.
Yeah, it's like pretty interesting. When we listened to that podcast a year ago, like if you would ask me if they're around in a couple of years, my answer is probably like no. Of like, yeah, this is like, there's not a big moat here now. Yeah, after learning about this exit and this outcome, like we talk about this in ag tech of like, is this a product, a feature, or is it an actual company? And like Cal AI seems just like it's a feature within a bigger business, and they were able to sell a feature because the fact that they had distribution.
100%. That's a really good point. These are two areas I'm gonna continue to follow really closely in agriculture. One is just content. What are creators doing in agriculture? Tim, we're focused on this. How can we do more here? And then two is AI tools and building technology, right? And this is kind of what we're doing with AgList, right? Like we didn't vibe code AgList. I think we did a little bit more engineering software development to build a strong platform, but same kind of idea of just building, anyone could build AgList. I guess that's the point, right? The idea of AgList could be vibe coded, but to have a unique spot in the industry, and we feel like, again, to the victor goes the spoil. There's not another AgList out there. We have gotten traction. We're continuing to grow that traction and adoption. And that's how I think we build a durable business.
Totally. This is a fun one talking it out, Ty. Like I want to continue to be iterating on these tools. Like we've talked about vibe coding websites or apps. I'm gonna go heads down on this a little bit, Ty. Like next time we jump on one of these calls, I want to do a little show and tell and really put it on me to show you something.
I'll believe it when I see it, Tim. I hear all the time from you, I'm vibe coding. I'm like doing all this stuff. I never see the fruits of your labor.
Yeah, most of the time when I like go heads down vibe coding, I just start doing like weird images that I'll send you of just like make Tyler a cartoon, make Tyler.
Exactly. But I'm excited to be proven wrong and excited to share it more on the podcast. So stay tuned for Tim's vibe coding side projects because he has so much time.
So much free time right now. All right. Well, Ty, in summary, we're not for sale. Listening to offers. We will catch you next week, and make sure you tune into the Yield WiseCon webinar on Thursday the 19th.